Well, hi, thank you very much for the enormous audience that's come along today. Talking about our project, and it's really, I feel like it's a big jigsaw puzzle, and I'm going to present it as a bit of all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle that we're working on at the moment. For those of you who don't know, Katanning is located 300 kilometres southeast of Perth. We're a broadacre wheat and sheep, typical country. Now, our project started, I just love the introduction you gave me just then, because our project started with a conversation that we just happened to have, and we just happened to have at the right time. You know how sometimes serendipitously things work out? What we realised is we had 3 different organisations basically in Katanning, and we were thinking similar things at the same time. And one of those opportunistic, casual conversations happened, because it's a small town and you bump into each other. And we realised we were thinking along the same things. We had Moojerpin Foods. Moojerpin Foods is actually started only a couple of years ago. One of our broadacre farmers from the eastern end of our shire sells value-added mutton into fancy restaurants in Perth. Had a conversation with the chef he was working with, who said he was bringing in saltbush from South Australia. And our farmer went, "We got it growing on our property. Do you want me to send some up with the next lamb I send up?" And they went, "Sure." And very quickly, he was sending up stuff that he was cutting with secateurs off his property every week. And he started going, "Hang on, there's an opportunity here." So he was thinking, how do I expand this? There's a business opportunity for gourmet value-added food. At the same time, literally 1 kilometre up the road from him, the Badgerbap Aboriginal Corporation were getting established. They were going through all their strategic planning and looking at what they wanted to achieve for their community. And they had 3 main things they wanted to achieve, and 2 of them were, one was setting up a bush tucker industry and linking it with the tourism industry. At the same time to this, the NLP Smart Farming Partnerships program opened up. And us at Katanning Landcare were going, "Oh, perfect. Finding solutions to saline land, degraded saline land, and how we can help the environment there." What sort of project? Is anyone else thinking what I was thinking? All 3 of us were clearly on the same path. So we got together in 2017 and we had some really great conversations about how we could work together to drive this thing forward and achieve those outcomes that each of us were wanting to get. And in that conversation, we also realised that we needed a bit more of a team. We brought in Chatfields from Tamman. We brought in Wide Open Agriculture, who at the time were... so Chatfields are basically the engineering and plant company. Wide Open Agriculture were working in Arthur River at the time with greenhouse growing of vegetables. They were really looking at how they can value add food and horticultural production into the wheat belt. So their values were very much aligning with what we wanted. And Wagoga, they're a gourmet food marketer. See where we're going here still? So we put in an application to the Smart Farming Partnerships program about developing a saline bush tucker, where we wanted the bush tucker grown on the saline degraded land, the stuff that had fallen out of production in our wheat and sheep farming systems. And we wanted to do a full paddock to plate supply chain that other farmers and that other Indigenous groups and that other people could tap into and enter this supply chain. We wanted to set it up for everyone. And so there's a whole lot of expertise. Put the application in, waited months and months and months, and got the grant. Just over $750,000. Very exciting. Very exciting for all of us. So, that's the fun bit, then you've actually got to do it. We realised this is where we really needed to go. We really wanted to set ourselves up essentially as the guinea pigs. We wanted to work out the how. We wanted to make the mistakes so that other people in the future don't have to make them themselves. So we had to work out a lot of the how. How do we grow this stuff? How do we make it a reliable supply chain for chefs in gourmet restaurants want that same quality product every week? How do we incorporate traditional knowledge cultural science is our new word, isn't it? Into this. A lot of the how. How do we harvest it? We needed to obviously grow it. We needed to work out how to harvest it. Now, we're used to harvesting with whopping great big headers just coming through and taking grain, not delicate shoots and flowers that are destined to sit on someone's very expensive dinner plate. We needed to work out how to pack it and get it to those places. We needed to market it. You've got to get it into that end consumer. And then we really, really had that focus and we wanted to teach others. We wanted to open up this as an opportunity. We really believe that there is so much degraded saline land that's fallen out of production in Australia, particularly across southern Australia, that if we can find a way of producing food off this land, that's great for, obviously, for feeding a growing world, and it's an economic benefit for the farmer. And if we've got land that things are actively growing on and active being managed, we're going to improve the condition of this soil as well. And that soil condition really came into, we really needed to understand, our hypothesis is that we were going to be improving the soil, improving the health of the land. We need to be researching that and putting some numbers. Are we actually making an impact? So, just a small project. We're a year in now. We've been going for a year. These are our plants. Saltbush, samphire. Samphire? You know that stuff that you just walk straight over the top of because it's like brown and ugly and worthless? Slender ice plant and pig face. So how we do this, and I'll talk you through, this is how we've set ourselves up to be running this project. So the how. Obviously, we've brought in expertise in different areas. Not one of us can do everything. So the first starting off with is really understanding our site and some horticultural knowledge too, and Wide Open Ag really taking that. Chatfields have really taken these plant germination and growth trials. Samphire has never been grown in a horticultural system before. No one's ever worked out how to get ice plant to flower all year round, ever. This is cutting edge new science because these are plants no one's ever really cared about. We actually brought in Swan Valley Flower Farm a bit later. They've only just sort of joined us. Amazing horticultural knowledge and growth, and they're doing some plant physiology because we realised how much we didn't know. And then BAC, Badger Pub Aboriginal Corp, have taken on some of the how, because we realise there's a lot of how in this. There's obviously the traditional knowledge and then what they can contribute in understanding how these plants grow, what they are used for, and all those features of the plants in through their cultural knowledge. But we also needed to skill teams of people to be able to grow this, because teach was one of our big outcomes at the end. So we've got Indigenous students running through Horticulture Certificate 2, based through our saline bush tucker industry. So we're getting people, young people being trained up who are going to have the skills in growing this, so at that end, they can go out and do. So BSc are doing that for the how. Growing. We decided to tackle growing these plants in 3 different ways. At the moment, everything is wild harvest, which is what Mujapin Foods was doing. They literally go out with a bucket, secateurs, they squat down on the saline flats, fill buckets and load it into the back of a station wagon. Great small quantities, not for growing. But we want to look at these wild sites, and we're actually going to have some experiments. That's some samphire. We're actually going to have some go at some scarifying those samphire sites, basically destructive sampling to try and encourage new growth, because it's that fresh new growth is what the market wants. And actively growing, we believe, will drive that soil health improvement as well. So we're going to have the wild sites. We're going to have planted sites. So we've put in 15,000 saltbush this year, and we've got more to come in future years, as a crop. Essentially, as a crop, we're planting a crop. And then we also want to take it into a horticultural system, because in a horticultural system, we can control seasonality. We can control a lot of things that I'll talk about a bit later as well. So we're actually in the process of building these tunnel houses. They're going in at the moment, which is really, really exciting. And so this is where there's this sort of these plants have never been grown in this sort of system before, in like a hydroponic sort of shade house system. So growing, we have to tackle that, so we get over our project. The other big questions are about harvesting. So we don't want a future that involves squatting and secateurs. Chatfields are designing 2 new machines for harvesting our saltbush. The first is at trial now, which is very, very exciting. Saltbush we typically grow and we let the sheep come and eat, and then it's just random shapes, and then the poor guys are going through with their secateurs trying to find the good growth. So we're going to have a former that comes through on a tractor that is going to actually cut the saltbush sort of almost like into a triangular shape, so it's a regular size. And then over the top, and that'll be done every few years, and then over the top will be the actual harvester, which is being designed based around the idea of a carrot harvester, which will delicately come through every couple of weeks, and that new growth that's spurting out on those perfectly shaped saltbush all in a row can come through and take off those fine shoots, the soft leaves that we need for market. So that engineering is underway at the moment. We're very excited to see that. Now, one of the things we're really aiming for in our shade houses is to get plants, this is some of our baby pig face, cascading over the sides. So we can harvest at waist height, not squatting, and it's out of the sand and the dirt and everything, so we've got a clean product without any sticks or anything to go to market as well. So we're trying to get a growing system that will allow those plants to grow that way. There's so much work going on. And, well, they're still by hand going on. So we're working out of that around the harvest system. Packing. It has to be packed delicately. They're very moist products, and they've got to get a long way from Katanning. This is at the moment how they're going at the moment. We're not happy with the plastic. We really don't think that's a sustainable way forward. So one of the things we're working on is actually looking at packaging, which will protect these very soft, delicate leaves and keep the moisture in them. And the second part of it is we realise as we upscale to be able to professionally pack on site. So Badgerbup Aboriginal Corporation, one of the things they're going to achieve out of this project is actually the construction of a packing shed, which will turn into a business for them, which helps to set up that bush tucker and that tourism industry that they're looking for in their strategic plan. With the idea being that they will be able to contract pack food coming off Mujapin Foods property, but also food that's coming off other farmers that we are hoping are going to uptake participation in this industry. And it's going to give them an income source for their community forward into the future as well. Obviously, that's not our actual shed. That's coming in. We've got to grow some things before we can pack them, so that's a later stage of the project. It may not look quite like that. Marketing. These are bizarre foods that I bet you there's probably no one in the room that's eaten all 4 of those products before. I have. You've eaten all 4? Okay, there's one. Labrador. Okay, you eat anything. We've got to market these. There's so much involved, and Wagoga, being our professional marketers, are doing a fantastic job of this. They have to introduce the foods. They have to teach people how to cook and use with them and open up these markets. He's been entering our produce so far through into awards, and we've actually, last year they won awards, the Delicious Awards. They've been working with chefs, and we've been getting some very Instagram-worthy products. That one's got the baby pig face in it. And he's been actively working. Through the course of the project, we've gone from supplying some restaurants in Perth and one gourmet supermarket in Cottesloe to we've picked up a Sydney supplier, a Victorian supplier, a South Australian supplier, and a new West Australian supplier. We now have our products being served at the Marina Bay Sands Resort in Singapore, and our products are going to be on the menu at Flemington on Melbourne Cup Day this year. Very exciting. So you can see already our demand and sales is going up, but the problem is at the moment we're still squatting in the paddock with secateurs. We're getting a little worried. We need to upscale quite quickly, so we're trying to get all those other growth things up. We want to not be able to supply everything. We want to open this up to other farmers. We want a big market. That is our objective. So that marketing's going on. The next one is that teaching. We really want to teach. I talked a little bit about teaching Noongar trainees through the TAFE certificate. So they're upskilling and learning. We've got one of the roles that Valley Flower Farm are actually going to take on is teaching all of us, because and our farmers never run a horticultural shade house either, so we need the upskilling. But then it's that teaching that others. We really have this goal. We want this to be a big industry. So in year 2, we're actually going to have a field day, which will be our first opportunity for people to come and see what we're doing. As I said, shade houses are still under construction and everything. We don't want you yet. But a huge outcome is a year 4 is we're going to have a full training package and program and event where we want other landholders to come along and we want to teach them how to grow this on their property, whether it be in a horticultural system or whether it be wild or planted is our 3 systems. I mean, I'm a farmer's wife. We have salt flats with samphire growing on it just wildly. You know, it could be an opportunity for our family and many other families to tap into this. We want to teach that. And the whole way along the way as we've been doing all this, the thing in our back of our mind has always been keep it simple. We want our shade house systems to be simple. We want our growing systems and our harvesting systems to be simple. Where Chatfields will be designing this machine for the harvesting, keep it in mind, will it just go onto the farm, the tractor the farmer already has? We want it to be accessible for other farmers, and we've been keeping that. It's very easy to get very excited and start developing fancy, but we're trying to keep it completely achievable. So that's going to happen in year 4. There's a big rollout at that point. Still feels like a million miles away. And then, of course, we've got that research component going on as well. So we've partnered with Dr. Bede Micken, who's our lead researcher. And he works with Richco commercially, but is also an adjunct researcher with UWA. And he is looking at those environmental impacts in our planted, and our wild, and our horticultural systems. We are hypothesising and hoping that this sort of system will show that we're going to have increased soil health, reduced salinity because these plants are uptaking, more microbial activity, more carbon content into these quite dead soils because they're our saline. We're also looking at drawdown on our saline groundwater. Our horticultural shade houses are going to be watered with water pumped from our saline groundwater right there on site that's causing the problem. We're hoping if we can be drawing that water table down, we'll be reclaiming our paddock bat and using that water through the horticultural shade house to be growing these premium products. And so we're looking at that impact as well. So Bede is leading that project, and he's going to be working with us right through till year 4. So, how's it going? It is complex. This is a real cart before the horse, chicken and egg. We need to know this, but we've got to do this, but we've got to do... There's so many facets to it going on at the same time. It is a case of... it's so exciting. We're doing new stuff. This is groundbreaking. The other thing is it's very hurry up and wait. These are my contact details. Do not call me. Do not call me until at least next year. We are not ready to tell you anything. We are not ready to show you anything. We have got 15 chainsaws juggling all at the moment, trying to get everything lined up because there's so many elements involved in this. So I welcome your interest, but not yet. Thank you.